Hello and greetings to all class 8 aspirants and applicants. This is your English teacher here. Before few days I had asked you to read the first chapter from your main textbook Honeydew, and I'm sure you all have downloaded the link which was sent by me earlier. On the screen you can see two English books this year that you are going to study. The first one is your Honeydew book, your main textbook, and the other one which is titled as It So Happened, that is your supplementary reader. So today we are going to talk about the first chapter, The Best Christmas Present in the World, from your Honeydew book. But before we start, I want you all to watch a small video and see what is it all about. Try to understand it. Yes, and we take the chapter little ahead then. Fine. Let's watch the video first. Okay. The short video that you all have seen, it shows the ill effects of waging wars. Right. Now you all may think, why do we need to watch this video before starting the first chapter? You do need to watch this video to get to know about all the ill effects of wars, because the main characters in the story of the best Christmas in the best Christmas present in the world, it circles around the war, right, which was waged in 1914 between England and Germany. Right. So, what have you seen in this video? What do you think wars bring to people's lives? Armed conflicts and wars can bring only and only mass destruction of cities and nations. It can also cause negative effect on social order, public health provisions, and infrastructure. The effects of war can be both short term and long term. Women and children suffer unspeakable atrocities of war. In particular, however, soldiers experience war little differently than the civilians do. They spend countless nights in those narrow trenches and on open grounds, that too without food and access to water. They also have to tolerate incessant noise of artillery and machine gun fire. What else, students? Last but not least, they also have to witness their colleagues, their mates, being killed in front of their eyes. Often, when these soldiers return home, they suffer from extreme mental health issues such as PTSD, or they remain without either of limbs for the rest of their life. You see, the story of the best Christmas present in the world is based on the life of an English ex soldier, Jim Macpherson, who never returned home to his long awaiting wife, Connie Macpherson. Okay, now on your screen you can see the first chapter from your Honeydew book, The Best Christmas Present in the World. Now before we start, I would recommend that you all should have a notebook with you whenever you watch an online video for your academics. Yes, you should have a notebook to make your own notes while you are learning. So I hope you all are keeping one notebook with you and a pen so that you can just note down the important points. Right, now before we read, there are some dates or period of time in the history of the world that are so significant that everyone knows and remembers them. The story you will read mentions one such date and event. That is a war between the British and the Germans in 1914. Can you guess which war it is? Now, perhaps the war that has been addressed here is seen as the commencement of the First World War, which was mainly fought between England and Germany. Right. In the red box, you can see couple of dates. I want you to do your research at your level and find out all the answers. The dates that are shown in the box, they are followed by a very significant day, that something has happened on those days. I want you all to find out what has happened and why these dates are given to you. Please do not look straight away into the answer book, but you find it out through your research. And I hope you all do it. Right? Now this chapter is divided over 3 parts. Right? Just next to it, next to the text, you can see the word bank is given to you and the hard content words are given in there. So let us start without any much further ado. Right. The first part, the writer finds an old roll-top desk, right? He goes into a junk shop where all old antique items, all second-hand items are sold. He goes to visit the shop and then he purchases an old roll-top desk for his own use. He brings it home and he starts repairing it, and then he finds a bunch of letters right into the another secret drawer into the roll-top desk. Right? Let's find out who wrote those letters and those letters belong to who. Right, let's start with the first part. I spotted it in a junk shop in Bridport. A roll-top desk. The man said it was early 19th century and made up of oak. Now please note that oak is one of the most expensive woods that is used to make furniture, to decorate our houses. I had always wanted one, but they were far too expensive. This one was in bad condition. The roll top in several pieces, one leg clumsily mended, scorch marks all down one side, and it was going for very little money. I thought I could restore it. It would be a risk, a challenge, but I had to have it. I paid the man and brought it back to my workroom at the back of the garage. I began work on it on Christmas Eve. That is just an evening before the day of Christmas. He must have visited a junk shop. We are talking about the writer Michael, the one who has written this chapter. Okay, he has visited the junk shop and bought this old roll top desk. Now, though it was old, and almost into pieces, he had still taken this risk of buying it because he says that he could not afford to buy more expensive roll top desk, as he was always in need of one roll top desk as such this. So that's why, though it was old, he thought, I can buy it now and just repair it and use it for time being. Right? So he bought it and he got it at his home, started repairing it. What did he do? I removed the roll top completely and pulled out the drawers. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. Now, in the first paragraph, the condition of the roll top desk is described there. You have a question just following this paragraph somewhere down there, that what was the condition of the roll top desk. So that's an answer there hidden there. I want you all to pay attention to it. Make your own notes. You are allowed to write your answers in your own words once you have understood the concept. Okay? Right. Just beside it, can you see the word bank? He spotted it. That means he has found the scorch marks. The roll top desk, it was quite evident to the narrator that it had burn marks, right? And it was going for very little money. That means it was being sold for very little money because it was damaged. It was an old desk. He thought he could restore it. That means he thought he could repair it and could use it. Veneer. What is veneer? It is a thin layer of plastic or a decorative wood on furniture of any cheap wooden board. Right. Now, yes, I removed the roll top completely and pulled out the drawers. The veneer had lifted almost everywhere. It looked like water damage to me. Both fire and water had clearly taken their toll on this desk. The last drawer was stuck fast. I tried all I could to ease it out gently. In the end, I used brute force. This line has to be understood very well. Brute force here refers to such an intensive force, physical force, right? Because the last drawer he could not open gently, he had to apply such brute force. And see what had happened? I struck it sharply with the side of my fist, and the drawer flew open to reveal a shallow space underneath. As you can see in the picture, the narrator found another secret drawer in the last drawer. It was a secret drawer. There was something in there. I reached in and took out a small black tin box. Sellotaped to the top of it was a piece of lined notepaper and written on it in shaky handwriting, Jim's last letter. When was it received? Received on 25th of January 1915. What is to be done with this bunch of letters? To be buried with me when the time comes. Now, see what this was, something unexpected by the author here. He never expected such thing to be found from an old roll top desk that he has bought from a junk shop. Something unexpected had come out from the last drawer. You see, the drawer was jammed up, stuck fast. However, with brute force, he applied it and managed to open it, and he found something inside. There was another secret drawer, and in that secret drawer, as you can see in the picture, students, there was a sellotaped tin box, and the letters were there inside. All the letters were, it was written the name of the writer there, Jim's last letters. It seems that the letters were written by Jim, and they were all received by 25th of January in the year 1915. And the receiver also had made a note that they all have to be buried down with her when the time comes, or with him. Right? Now see, what is the situation of the writer upon his findings? I knew as I did it that it was wrong of me to open the box, but curiosity got the better of my scruples. It usually does. See, what is the meaning of the curiosity got the better of my scruples? Scruples here refers to the situation when you are unable to decide what is wrong to be done and what is right to be done. Sometimes you're confused and it is difficult for you to decide what should I do next. Right? Now what do we do, students, when we get someone else's letter which is closed in an envelope? Are you supposed to open the letter and read the content that is not belong to you? Of course not. You should not read someone else's letter. But the writer says that curiosity got the better of my scruples. Yes, he was so desperate, he was so curious who this letter belongs to, who has written down, and what is the content. So he could not stop himself. However, he did not have any bad intention in his mind. But just out of curiosity, he became desperate to read. He became curious to read what was the content inside. And see, what did he do? He perhaps opened up the letter. What was written there? Inside the box, there was an envelope. The address read, Mrs. Jim Macpherson, 12 Copper Beaches, Bridport, Dorset. I took out the letter and unfolded it. It was written in pencil and dated at the top December 26, 1914. Okay. Now see, the letter belongs to a lady named Mrs. Jim Macpherson. So just in the paragraph before, we have seen that it was Jim Macpherson who has written the letters. Now to who he had written the letters? He had written the letters to Mrs. Jim Macpherson, who lived in the county of Dorset, somewhere in England, somewhere in southwest England. Right? He took out the letter. He unfolded it, and something was written in the pencil and the dated right at the top of the letter. December 26, 1914. It seems the letter was written on December 26. That is just a day after Christmas in the year 1914. Right. So this letter was written on December 26, 1914, and it was received on 25th of January 1915. Right. I'm sure you started getting some hints here. Yes? Let's go to comprehension check first one and try to answer the questions given in comprehension check first one. The first one says, what did the author find in a junk shop? Yes, he found an old roll-top desk in a junk shop. Second one, what did he find in a secret drawer? Yes, he has found a bunch of letters in that secret drawer, which were all sellotaped and kept in a black tin box. Who do you think had put it in here? Now, this is a tricky question, but now you will be able to answer this question. Go to the end of this part 1. You can see the address of the receiver. So whoever has received the letters perhaps must have put them all or kept them safe in that secret drawer. So who was she? She was Mrs. Jim Macpherson. Perhaps she must have put and kept all the letters safe in that drawer. Children, we keep the lesson till now, right? And then I shall see you again in the next video. But before we go to the next part, I want you all to again read the second part and try to answer the questions, and you can note down the difficulties and the doubts and you can write to me, right? Thank you, children.